Hi everyone, welcome. This is a comprehensive details about the FRM program. The FRM program or the Financial Risk Manager program is given by GART, the Global Association of Risk Professionals, highly respected in the field of risk, financial risk management. So this one has two parts to take the examination. I will first talk about the eligibility to sit for the FRM examination. To sit for the FRM Part 1 exam, you don't need to do anything except if you have cleared your 12th, you can sit for it. So it can be in college, any year in college, it doesn't matter, or completed your graduation, you're working, anyone can sit for your FRM Part 1 exam. So once you have taken the FRM Part 1 exam, you have 4 years within which you need to sit for the FRM Part 2 exam. And once you have taken the FRM Part 2, you need to submit your professional experience of 2 years. And for this, you have a maximum of 10 years to do so. Okay, so that's all your eligibility is. You need to be a graduate eventually to become a certified FRM, or also have 2 years of full-time work experience. But most of you are going to be starting with your FRM while you are in college, and that's absolutely fine. That's what I'm saying. You have 4 years between Part 1 and Part 2 to finish both the parts, and then you have 10 years. They're giving you enough time to gather that experience that is relevant to financial risk manager. All right, now let's talk about the exam structure and fees. The exam for FRM Part 1 is a MCQ with 100 questions. There's no negative marking, and typically what we have seen is if you score somewhere around 60 to 70% correct in your exams, you should be able to clear your FRM Part 1. And your FRM Part 2 is 80 MCQ questions. Again, see, there is no negative marking, and so generally 60 to 70% for any particular exam window is the cutoff or the minimum passing score, even though we don't exactly get what is the MPS based on the quartiles they give. That's what we are expecting the students to get to clear the FRM Part 1 and Part 2 exams. In terms of difficulty, a lot of students find the FRM to be pretty quantitative, so you need to be relatively strong in math to take your FRM Part 1 exams. I will rate the difficulty of this exam to be above average to difficult. All right, now coming to the examination fees. So the Part 1 exam fees, you will pay directly to GARP, right? So GARP is the one that is conducting the exams. So you will pay that fee for Part 1. It is split into two. One is for the enrollment. It's like an administrative process. They charge around $400 right now. Obviously, check this fees on the GARP website when you're going to register. This keeps changing, so you need to be updated on that. $400 for enrollment, and the examination fees, if you book early enough, they give a discount of $200, and you just have to pay $600. Otherwise, if you do with the standard registration, your exam fee for Part 1 is going to be $800. So that becomes $800 plus $400, $1,200 in total for your FRM Part 1 examination. For your Part 2 examination, there's no need for enrollment. You just need to pay the exam fee. Again, it is either $600 or $800, depending on when you register for the examination. So in aggregate, your FRM examination and enrollment fee with GARP is going to be between $1,600 to $2,000. So in Indian rupees, you're looking at something like 1.7 lakhs in total for both the Part 1 and Part 2. Apart from that, you obviously might need a prep service like what we provide at Fintrainers. So Fintrainers, we give you recorded lectures. So for both Part 1 and Part 2, and we also give materials to use with the recorded lectures. Now, sometimes we also have complimentary live classes that you can attend to clear your doubts, etc. But mostly we have recorded sessions. Once in a while, we have those, contact classes, online live classes for you to reach out and ask any questions or doubts you might have. Now, let's talk about the duration and who should pursue the FR. The duration generally, from what we have seen, is our recorded classes or live classes generally go for 5 to 6 months for each part. Typically, our students also take around 6 months for each part. That means it takes a year to finish Part 1 and Part 2 prep. who should go for this. If you are interested in finance, particularly in risk management or quantitative finance, then FRM is great. So you can find roles like credit risk management, CRO, your chief risk officer. You want to manage the liquidity risk in a bank. You want to work in an investment bank, looking at the risk of these portfolios, like measures like VaR, market risk, and things like that. So it's a very, very broad scope in terms of the companies you can work with, but in terms of the function, it's fairly niche. You're going to be working in the management of risk. So if you're interested in risk, financial risk, operational risk, whichever risk you like to do, you want to be in that role, then FRM is for you. All the very best with your FRM preparation.